If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, it's less than an hour. Alhamdulillah. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Can we go to study in universities in, for example, Malaysia or Nottingham? The environment.
Why do you have to name the university, Akhi?
Because I'm planning to go there.
Look, you have to go to the fatwa of the scholars. And honestly, it's a very tricky subject matter, because if you can do without it, then needless to say, you don't go. If you can do without it. If there's distance learning, because from what I know, some of the online courses right now from like Liverpool University are as expensive, if not more expensive, than attending an actual university, because they say we'll give you the privilege of learning from home. And the degree which you receive does not suggest in any way that it's an online degree. It's an official, accredited degree equal to the one you would attend if you went to Liverpool yourself. So I don't know about the options, but if that option is there, then you opt for that option. If that option is not there, then you have to look at your overall situation, your parents, your position. Are you someone whose parents have hopes in? You're going to be the one, in the family who's going to make it happen and bring money so everybody can survive off of you. You can't be pulling no stunt like, no, I just want to go to Medina University. Forget you guys. I just want to learn Islam. A lot of the kids just get confused. And they tell their parents, no, I don't care if you die old. I'm just going to go to Medina. I'm going to Medina tomorrow. And then they send a message to me, is it okay if I go? I'm like, no, unless you want to go to Jahannam. You think it's a joke to leave your parents and ignore them? The rights of the parents, you're just going to dismiss it because you, Habibi, don't like A or you don't like B? This is the last thing you consider. Unless you know that in this university you're bound to go astray. Then the scholar might give you a fatwa, okay, you can ignore, you can disobey your parents in this regard while maintaining respect and so on and so forth. It's a very tricky subject matter. So I can't give you one answer. Each person has a different answer depending on the situation. We all agree, if you can avoid the evil, you avoid it. But you can't live sometimes in a shack and think you're going to make it in life. You might have to deal with certain things, but it's a very complicated thing. So it depends on you, your situation, how badly you need it. If you can do without it, no. If your parents don't care, no. You know what I mean? Some people's parents don't care. They say, I don't care. Online university, from home, you go there. As long as you just graduate and get a job, we're happy with you. Alhamdulillah. Some parents are adamant. You have to become a doctor. And you can't just tell them no. In my school, you cannot say no to your parents. They want you to become a doctor, you better become a doctor. If it makes them happy, alhamdulillah. Unless you know that you will be destroyed in that path. Or you have negotiation skills. A lot of us don't have the negotiation skills. If you know how to speak with the parents, you can get a lot. Mama, I love you. Let me find something else. This university stuff is not for me. I don't like to be a doctor. I'm disgusted by someone opening their mouth. You think I'm going to be a dentist? Wallahi. The parents are cool. You speak to them enough. But the kids are... So wallah, you're going to become a doctor غصب عن أبوك. And she will make you a doctor and watch you suffer for 10, 20 years. Sheikh, you should have been able to resolve it with the mama from the beginning. But you're silly. Many kids are silly. They don't know how to speak. Parents are soft, man. They're soft. They love you. They love their kids. So you have to know where that soft spot is and boom, hit it. And then 99% of the time you get what you want. You want to act like some big macho guy? You go nowhere. Not now, not when you die. So, a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, I want to go and struggle with you. This is the epitome of Islam back then. He said, are your parents alive? He said, go to them. Struggle with your parents. Now you run away from the parents to go to Medina University. Or go to this and that. No way, Habibi. So the parents have a big role in the answer. So I cannot answer you right now. After 10 minutes. Yes, sir.
While we are talking to our fellow Muslims or even non-Muslims, if they ask from any Quranic verse or Hadith some question, and if we try to giving them answer, if we explain by giving examples from worldly life or our daily activities, if that example suits the meaning of Hadith and Quran, is it okay?
Of course. I think I gave a lecture about this, titled The Exemplification of Articulation. The exemplification of articulation, or the articulation of exemplification. Jazakallah khair. The whole lecture is about how to use worldly examples to deliver religious concepts for the people who don't understand. They don't understand the level of knowledge you're speaking about because they're in a different world. So yes, you give them any example which fits, as long as it doesn't belittle Allah's majesty. Some examples may do so. So you say, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى, and to Allah belongs the best example. This is only to bring the idea, but Allah is greater than that. You might have to give that disclaimer every now and then. With the right answer. Jazakallah khair. The essays of the sisters. Well, that's not a long essay. Is it permissible to send our daughters to foreign countries for higher education without a mahram? She'll thinking that she is pious and will keep away from evil and concentrate on achieving her goal. That's the answer right there. On her own, no mahram. Ya Sheikh, she's a human being. Yusuf alayhi salam, وَلَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ وَهَمَّ بِهَا لَوْلَا أَن رَأَى بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ. Yusuf alayhi salam, he was close. Had Allah not showed him a sign that made him step on the brakes and know the limits. That's Yusuf, Nabi min Anbiya Allah. You know his story, a whole surah named after him. Who are you? Who are you? Who am I? You have to wake up. This actually is the lecture right now. You're going to throw this miskina, she's pious, we don't doubt. We're not saying that she's evil inside. La wallah, she's pious, inshallah. But you're going to throw her into this environment and hope she makes it out? طيب. 50% she makes it out? 60%? Ya Sheikh, 70%? Tab, what about the 30% that she goes astray? Then what you going to do? Just weep and beat yourself? The girl is gone. Someone killed her. Someone, la qaddar Allah, raped her. Someone kidnapped her. Some musibah. Well, you know how it is over there. Then what you going to do? You regret and cry? Now you sent her into this calamity. Especially for the ladies. For the brother, we have a whole discussion. For the lady, why? Distance learning, you have online, you have internet, you have DSL, you have mobile, STC, Zain, ya Sheikh, take anything you want. Learn online, get a degree, khlasna. Does she have to be there with the professor and with the cute guy sitting next to her in the classroom and fulan, and you want her to be, Maryam, alayhi salam, sitting over there with her hijab and niqab and minding her business the whole time? The reality is, while this happens, it also doesn't happen. So once there's that risk, the intelligent person doesn't risk the matters of the deen. So I would say, no, it is not allowed. Had you said there's her father's there, her brother's there, and you try to patch it up so that it's sellable, then we will discuss it further. Just like that on her own, that's suicide. There's a possibility of success and a possibility of failure. The possibility of failure is ugly. And the possibility of success is not worth it. At the end of the day, what is the role of a woman in Islam? To go work and her husband sit at home, wash the dishes, yani? Is this what you guys want? She comes home, the professor comes home and he's saying, hey honey, yeah, the laundry is there, almost done. Ma ba'rif, yani, who's the man, who's the woman over here? And we're not trying to stereotype, but this is how Allah created us from the beginning of time until now. This is how it's always been. You want to change that? So he works and the husband is a bum at home, living off of his wife. Aib. It's disgraceful in all societies. So what does she get? She becomes the biggest doctor in the world. How is that going to benefit her and her kids and her husband? Not really that important. Except in some cases, which are presented to a scholar, he analyzes, says, you know what? This lady is going to be beneficial for the ummah. She's a special, intelligent person with unique skills. Ma'alesh, let her become this, what do you call it? OB, batikha doctor. The ones that sees women and what have you. Yeah, that's the one. Can't think of it right now. But that's not for every sister. So yeah. When a scholar is speaking for many positive points, good ones, about Islam, how should we find about their aqidah? And they mentioned some names here. But that's what I'm saying. if the person doesn't speak about Aqidah, then that is the problem right there. I'm simplifying it for you. Each one of these people should have a list of lectures, what have you. If you see that more often than not, Aqidah is dismissed, put on the side, that is the problem right there, because you will remain, now you'll just create an attachment, appreciation, and then you reach a point where you can't turn away. You cannot turn away. You're overwhelmed with this person's ability to speak and his eloquence and how, whatever now other elements which I'm not going to mention, and you're done. So what we say, if they're not speaking about Aqidah, put a big X on them. You go listen to Muhammad Tim Humble. That's what I recommend. You want someone who, mashallah, is knowledgeable and qualified and you have all the good traits, listen to Muhammad Tim Humble. He's right there in your face. You don't have to speculate and try to figure him out. There's nothing to figure out. It's all right there in your face. Everything, inshallah. That's the type of person that you should, if you want to learn from the YouTube speakers, again, quote unquote, then this is the type of person you would learn from. Better yet, learn properly through books and what have you, the Aqidah directly. Everything is translated to English, Urdu, every language you speak. Learn directly so you can differentiate at least. But whatever you learn from online always has limitations. What about these two people? I'm not going to mention their name. But, yeah. No comment. There's a lot of good. A couple of comments, but you don't say something because of a couple of mistakes which any one of us does. You don't sit there and demonize this person and say, take it easy, inshallah khair, fiyum khair. All of these brothers fiyum khair, but you worry about certain things, and inshallah they will be rectified, and there's no issue with the people you asked about. Inshallah ta'ala. Specifically the second one. The second one is excellent. MashaAllah. Yes, brother.
What about those who say, yes, I can swim without getting wet, because you get live examples of myself or my brothers, my sisters, my relatives who turn out to be good.
All of them swim without getting wet?
For example, after watching Disney movies or cartoons or whatever. So what is the answer for those kind of?
Very good answer. It's the very good question. It's the same answer I gave earlier to the brother. There's a risk factor. You cannot gauge it. You understand what I'm saying? Yes, we can say, Wallahi, I'm going to expose my child to all the evil in the world. And if Allah has guidance meant for him, he will be the sheikh and the imam of the masjid. True or false? True. But what is your responsibility as a Muslim? What does Allah say? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. You're supposed to protect yourself and your family from the fire. So we don't deny that some people will be astray, Allah guides them, and vice versa. So there's an element that is beyond your responsibility. That is the qadr of Allah. This is where we have no comment. But until then, what is your responsibility? To protect or to be loose? To protect. So you do your job of protection. If Allah decreed otherwise, alhamdulillah, I've done my part. If they wind up, remaining guided, then alhamdulillah, I'm a reason behind it because I provided this healthy environment. So sure, a lot of these people have gone through many phases, meaning they have gone maybe completely astray, then Allah guided them. Or some of them might still be affected by this stuff, akhi, and it only comes out after they get married, a few years after marriage. Some of the trauma which they might have endured in their younger age, it only comes out after marriage. So you cannot even guarantee that they're completely fine. You know what I mean? They appear to be fine when you go drink tea together. But you don't know what they're going through on their own afterwards. People suffering from ayn and hasad and jinn and magic and the whole shebang. These are all connected. And how many Muslims that are affected by these things? A lot. A lot. But again, you can't gauge. You can't say, wallahi, they turn out to be good. They appear to be good to you. But you don't know the end, and you don't know whether they have other things that you don't know about. So that wouldn't fly. Not now. Oh. Respected sir, wow, that's a nice one. I've never gotten that before. It's okay, I don't need it. Oh, he mentioned his name. Air conditions? Nowadays people around the world marrying and giving divorce on the phone. Is it allowed? Yes. You can get married on the phone and you can get divorced on the phone. Hopefully you'll get married on the phone, but you will not get divorced on the phone. Yeah, but any means of delivering the acceptance and the conditions of nikah can happen over Skype, if you still use that. I don't recommend it. Hangout is much better. Skype is like this old annoying program that takes up half of your space on your PC and it still doesn't work well. And those who are still living with Hotmail, somebody if you meet, he still has like his name is abcf335@hotmail.com. This is from back in the days, from dinosaurs maybe, or a little bit before. We've kind of progressed, I'm just making fun of something. We progressed into a different zone now. Skype is like ancient. So if you really want to use something for video chatting, Hangouts is much better. This is a technological advice on the side. So you can actually get married on Hangouts or on the phone. The scholars allow it as long as there's the witnesses. It's the same kind of setup, but not everybody happen to be coexistent in the same room. Could be different countries, different situation. ما في مشكلة. Nah, but make sure that you meet the conditions of nikah. Any questions from the floor, sir? Yes, sir.
My colleagues, some of colleagues when we discussed, actually he just pointed out this about bidah. He said that if this new things of types of worship are not allowed, then it should be mentioned specifically that these like I told him that this wasila to a dead person, even the Prophet Muhammad, we cannot do.
Alayhi salam.
He said where it is mentioned particularly that we should not make wasila by the name of Prophet. I told him, Sahaba didn't do, but he said, why you drink Pepsi now? Why you go in cars? Why go in airplanes? He come to worldly matters.
Very smart, mashallah. Tell him, first, you and him should watch the lecture, The Extermination of Innovation. Because the whole lecture addresses this misconception. Secondly, regarding the cars and what have you, tell him this is a worldly matter. And no one ever said that innovation in worldly matters is bad. The innovation in religion is what is bad. If you want to play the card of, well, he wants something specific to be mentioned, anytime something is haram, it should be specifically mentioned, then according to him, there should be a hadith that says, do not smoke crack, do not smoke marijuana, do not take acid, mushroom, ecstasy, what else? Then we should also enumerate the cigarettes, Marlboro, Kent, everything should be mentioned, because someone say, Akhi, it doesn't say Marlboro. So this one is, or the mint flavor is allowed. Yani what kind of genius is this? He wants everything that is haram to be detailed for him, don't do it? No, we say no. The Islam is much more intelligent for intelligent people, where it just says, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is what you're not supposed to do. Anything what you do that we didn't tell you is no. Much easier. So now anything you add on from the time of the Prophet ﷺ until the end of time is automatically resolved. Otherwise Islam would have to continuously invent evidences until the end of time as they invent more things. I mean, it's nonsense. Yeah? Tell him that. Bring him to these lectures. Make sure he doesn't beat me after one of them though. Anything else? Some people have exams tomorrow. Turns out.
How do I know if I'm complete on Tawheed? I mean, I ask Allah, I pray to Him, I ask for His forgiveness.
Okay.
I ask Him everything. Are you referring to grave worshipping?
That's one of them. When we speak about Tawheed, brother, we're speaking about you knowing this. That's why it's important to know the three categories. Because you're referring to the category of Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, which is singling Allah out in worship. You don't worship dead people, you don't call on angels, you don't call on dead, you have this sorted out. Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair. But you also have Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, which is usually the foundation upon which you build this one. Knowing that Allah is the creator, sustainer, provider. You know that He's the one who manages this world, not anybody else. But these are two categories. The third, which is the most critical in many ways, because it is the completion of both, is knowing the names and attributes of Allah. What do we believe about Allah? I mean, when we speak about Allah, when Allah mentions in the Quran that He has a face, وَيَبْقَى وَجْهُ رَبِّكَ ذُو الْجَلَالِ وَالْإِكْرَامِ. What am I supposed to, as a believer, believe about an ayah which says Allah has a face, or that Allah has hands? مَا مَنَعَكَ أَن تَسْجُدَ لِمَا خَلَقْتُ بِيَدَيْهِ. He said to Iblis, what prevented you from prostrating to the one who I've created with my two hands? In reference to Adam alayhi salam. So you as a believer, you come across these ayat, you should ask yourself, wait a second, where do I stand? Do I say, no way? The Quran used these words. Or do I think of a human being and then say Allah is like that? No, no, time out, you see? So you have to, if you study the Quran, you will come across these ayat where you have to know what is intended by these ayat. Allah rose over the throne. What does that mean? What is the arsh? How did Allah, all of these ideas, they are only resolved and addressed in the aspect of Tawheed or the category of Al-Asma' wa Sifat, the names and attributes of Allah. Once you've comprehended them as the Sahaba did and the Tabi'een, and they had no difference on that, that's the best news for you. While they differed on many fiqh issues from the time of the Sahaba, they never differed on these matters. Aqidah, it was agreed upon, consensus, alhamdulillah. Including the 4 Imams, no issue. And Imam al-Dhahabi has a book authored on this topic. Al-Ulul al-Aziz al-Ghaffar. Read it. I don't know if it's translated to English or Urdu. So then you have to know this. Now you know who Allah Azza wa Jal is. Khalas. You've met the objective of life, the purpose of life. From that moment onwards, you are protected in terms of your belief, inshaAllah. So now you try to do your best to worship more, voluntary prayers, fasting, Mondays and Thursdays. Then the manners and the good character, all of them become nice add-ons. Add-ons. But you have the software, if I may say, upgraded. You're on the right track. But you're using a system with viruses and you want to put an application. As soon as you install it, it gives you, another 3-4 pages open up with viruses and nakedness and what have you. This doesn't work because you don't have the stuff proper. So if you have to know this stuff. It's not something that we just say, no. You have to study it. Allah created you. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. How are you going to worship Allah if you don't know Him? How are you going to pass an exam if you don't know the content? How are you going to marry a woman, for example, or be able to live with her for 20, 30 years if you don't know her? She's full of surprises. You have to know how she is. She has to know how you are. So whenever one of you is slipping, the other one is cool enough to let it slide. You see? I'm not talking about knowing each other before marriage. But you have to know whatever it is that you want to survive with. Ignorance is not bliss. So you learn this. Once you have that, inshallah, you're good to go. And it's all there. No mystery, you have to go and tell you. You go to Egypt, right behind the pyramid over there, you will find a little, chest. Open it, you'll see a little message. Open it to give you the phone number of Fulan, send him a WhatsApp. Tell me about Aqidah. La ya habibi, it's all out there. Just take the time and study it. Nah, jazakallah khair.
Your lecture on do we really know Him?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair. If you want, I don't want to promote, but I've already maybe helped out in the sense that I've delivered all of these topics already. Each one of them, there's a lecture on it on YouTube, flat in your face. The title tells you what it is about. Then on the website, onewaytoparadise.net, there's a whole Aqidah book. I think it's over 200 MP3 files. Going over a whole book about the names and attributes of Allah. Completely dedicated, in English, free of charge. You can have a bulk download. Listen to it while going to work, on the way back. But don't try to listen while you're working because usually you don't know what you're typing anymore. It happened to me before. I'm trying to listen to a lecture, then I start typing something about business, then I type the word Aqidah. I'm like, wait a second, what am I? This is not part of this. Turn off the thing. So yeah. Jazakallah khair.
Brother, at one point, one brother I know, he was saying to me that there's also something called Tawheed al-Hakimiyya, as a fourth type of Tawheed. They were saying, oh, because of this, because of that, because of this, because of that. And I was trying to say to him that the fact that Allah is Hakim, you can put that's His name and attribute, so it's not.
Sahih.
He was pushing it very hard, so I was wondering, okay, where did he get this thing from?
He got it from special people. It's all, see, that's what I'm saying. We go back to the same subject matter, which is the fact that certain groups or people of certain ideologies who like to push certain agendas or focus on one aspect of Islam versus the rest of the wholesome Islam will always try to find something where they want to take something to the next level, but it's not ready for it. So these are individuals who are obsessed with rulership and khuruj, not the tablighi khuruj, but the khuruj against the rulers. People that like to publicly belittle and speak against the people in charge, which is a very evil trait according to the Quran and the Sunnah. And we, inshallah, a lecture will be given on this because some people think that you are a sellout, if you're in agreement with the people in charge, with the rulers, يعني they're paying you a special salary on the side. Make us look good in front of the people. These are feeble-minded people who think that this is how the deen works. This is Quran and Sunnah. It's not my opinion or my uncle's opinion. It's the Quran and the Sunnah. Some people who don't like that will try to come up with anything to prove that you should rebel. It's rebellious people who are often into violence and terrorism and all types of stuff, which has no room in our deen. So be careful. He pushes, push back, or pull away.
I just remember this about Wajhullah, but small explanation only about this verse of Quran. فَإِنَّمَا تَوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. Small explanation of that. And also there is hadith that don't spit on your front.
معلش, but this is not the time. While this now we're delving into, I would say, detailed Aqidah matters, and the wisdom entails according to the audience. I don't know each one here. So you don't want to present something to them without a foundation upon which they can understand. The matters of Aqidah, you have to first build a foundation, then everything that comes afterwards will make perfect sense. If you don't have the foundation, you can get people confused. So respectfully, if you want, we can discuss this in a separate occasion. If you want to know more about these things, I already advertised the website, which has a breakdown in detail about all of these evidences you mentioned in the book Al-Aqidah Al-Wasitiyya li Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. So you can listen to those. Barakallah feek. Yes, sir.
I don't want to take the name of the group, but there's one group, they say that they're going out.
Tell them to come in.
They're going out for 40 days and 14 days.
Really, you don't want to say the name of the group? La ya Shaykh. I'm not speaking about Tablighi Jama'at, brother, no. Okay?
But they say they are learning from when they are going outside. So how to explain them that this is wrong?
They're learning, what do you mean they're learning when they're going outside?
They're learning good things, good ayahs and way of praying and other stuff. So how to explain them that going out for 40 days is not correct?
Again, I'm going to have to repeat so many of the lectures. How about the lecture, Take It or Take It? Remember that one? There's a lecture on YouTube titled Take It or Take It. And we mentioned all of these groups and we gave a piece of advice to all of them, such as Tablighi Jama'at, which have a lot of good, Zabla Khair, they strive maybe more than most of us combined. Somebody would leave his wife and kids and work and go for 40 days, ya Shaykh, going around the world trying to give da'wah. Zabla Khair, beautiful intentions, but wrong action.
No, but they say they are learning some good things from Islam. Learning how to pray.
But that's what this lecture was about. We don't doubt. We don't doubt that there's good. They're not going to tell you, come on, we're going to Jahannam together, brother, come on, let's go. Yeah, it's all shayateen and evil. You're going to say, excuse me, I'm not going with you. Of course there's going to be good and there's going to be bad. Habibi, I went with them. I've gone with the khuruj more than you can imagine. And surely we learned a lot of good stuff. And surely we learned a lot of bad stuff. Every time they gave a bayan from Fada'il A'mal and Fada'il Sadaqat, they were disasters in the book, ya akhi. And I've mentioned this before, the story of the boy who was out in the jungle and he came across a man and blah, blah, blah. Bottom line of the story is, where's Allah? Allah is everywhere. That is in Fada'il Sadaqat. And a belief, according to Imam Abu Hanifa, if you say this, you left Islam. And we're not passing takfir on anyone, but just so you will understand the context. So how are you going to tell me you learn how to pray and then you wind up with the wrong aqidah? What benefit is that prayer going to give you? No, we're not saying don't pray. Pray after you've learned who Allah is. Then the salah will be of value. So while you learn some good, you learn, and the guy giving bayan, who is he? Most of them, they were dudes who were not going to the masjid. Someone knocked on his door, told him, Ya akhi, come to the masjid. He went to the masjid. 2 weeks later, he's given the bayan. Sah? This bayan he heard from the other guy who he doesn't know himself. He's only repeating, parroting what the other guy said. What the other guy said is all types of fabricated narrations, which I've heard with my own ears. If you go out in the fi sabilillah, then when you make ghusl, every qatra will be 70,000 angels will make dua for you according to each drop of water. Where do you get this stuff from? All types of things were being said in the bayan, and the people sit and listen attentively to the bayan. Otherwise, pray, anybody can pray. Do they teach you how to pray for real? No, they just tell you to pray. how you pray, what you're thinking while you're praying, the meaning of Fatiha. These are things that are hardly ever addressed. And when addressed, Aqidah is never inserted. Or the bad Aqidah is inserted. Either way, you're in trouble. Anyways, take it or take it, yeah? The lecture, I mean.
They are complaining about the video also. Videograph.
They don't like the video?
Yeah.
Hey.
Without video, they are gathering crores of people, lakhs of people.
May Allah guide them. Anyways, akhi, look, I've grown, I would say. I've matured from my previous vicious approach to certain things. We used to be very upset. But the truth of the matter is, we want to absorb, all of these people. Instead of just kind of scare them away, which you wind up doing unintentionally. I'm saying this is a lecture now, but when you're dealing with them, try to be cool and sweet and nice. Try to bring them over. A lot of them might change, or will change, inshallah. So I'm just giving a general. Even though we're saying these things which are a little rough and stuff like that, in the real life, when dealing with them, you try to accommodate and win their hearts. If you win their hearts, Allah Azza wa Jal might guide them, as opposed to creating another barrier, and then they get further astray, and we become even also further away from them. We don't need any more division. We want unity, but upon the truth. We're not going to compromise the truth. But in our daily approach as family members, a lot of them may be, tablighis. Don't distance yourself and create war within the family because they're jama'at and they're jama'at Islamiyya and different jama'at. Try to be the one who brings people back to the deen with your character, with the reminders, but don't sugarcoat or compromise what you believe. When it's presented, say, listen, this is what it is and these are my evidences. That's why when you have knowledge, no one can deal with you. The truth of the matter is, no one can deal with you. When you know the deen, when you know the evidence. And after you establish the proof, khalas, you've done your job. If they ignore you, they have to answer Allah on Yawm al-Qiyamah. You as a family member, you kept the kinship ties, you were kind to them, you tried to guide them and educate them. There's nothing more you can do. But you don't want that infighting and war.
Okay, sir, we can do the dawah around the world this way, what we are doing here. We have to do around the world also, what they are doing.
Yeah, we're doing it around the world, akhi. No. I'm here now. I wasn't here, some time ago. And so are other speakers who are giving da'wah tawheed, inshallah. They travel, brother, we travel. But do you want us to go like tablighi 40 days to different masajid? Then we fall into the same thing warned against. Or we're going to say, you're jama'at tabligh, we're jama'at I don't know what. Jama'at Jeddah. And then we both go to the masjid at the same time. Say, hey, this is our spot. Move away. What are you going to do? This book? No. Kitab al-Tawheed. This doesn't work. The believers are going to be like, what's going on here? The people in the masjid are going to run away from the masjid. Say, I go to a bar. What's going on in this place? So, you can't just try to go, tit for tat with them and say, I'm going to compete with them. It doesn't work this way. You try to communicate the message and khalas. Alhamdulillah. Welcome, akhi. Jazakallah khair.
Recently we had a discussion on this, and I was told that there are 73 groups and one group only goes to heaven, and this group is the one which calls the other 72 groups on the way of deen.
If you want to put it that way, but that's not what the hadith says. The hadith says that the ummah will divide into 73 groups, all of which will enter the fire except one. When asked, the Prophet ﷺ was asked, who is it? He said, whoever is upon what I am today and my companions. So the only one who would be saved, and of course the other 72 doesn't mean that they're disbelievers. It just means that they have done what they will make them earn Jahannam. Then Allah decides whatever He decides on Yawm al-Qiyamah. But there's one group, and this group we cannot limit them to a number or a location or city or a country or website. These could be Muslims from the time of the Prophet ﷺ until the end of time all over the world. Bottom line is their belief, their approach to the deen was the way of the Sahaba. It doesn't mean that they're walking around with a turban, just so we can be clear. They have to wear a thawb, and they have to wear a turban and sandals, and they're walking around reciting Quran all day, say, oh mashallah. That's not what we're saying. They're regular human beings depending on the era they're living in. But in terms of their aqidah, their manhaj, their methodology, they follow the way of the Sahaba, period. They will look different, they will act different, they will be different dress code depending on the time and location they're living in. You understand me? Those are the saved sect as per the hadith says. Those are the ones. We have no choice but to be one of them. So now you have to ask yourself, when we get this far, okay, the Sahaba, we say the Sahaba. So what did the Sahaba believe? What did the Sahaba believe about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And did we ever receive anything from them that they said the hands of Allah means power, the face of Allah means glory? No. So now when you're explaining the ayah in the Quran in a way that no Sahabi ever explained it, why am I supposed to believe you and not believe them? On what basis I'm going to ignore a question that they never asked and take your question as a credible and acceptable question? You see, it becomes clear what you can and what you cannot believe. Khalas, then the truth has been distinguished from the falsehood. Anyways, there's a lecture on this topic titled The Saved and Aided Sect. It explains the traits and qualities of this group, so no one will think it's the Salafis, right? Anybody who calls himself Salafi or his name is Abu Abdullah Salafi or Batikh Salafi, then khalas, he's the only one, mashallah, he has the special feather on his head and all of us are going to hell. Because some of them have taken this method of Salafiyya and they turn it into a sect worse than the Tablighi Jama'at and worse than the others. Worse. They're, ya Latif, a combination of evil sometimes. Way overboard in everything. So, that doesn't solve it either. So it's not the name Salafi that's going to save you. Not calling yourself Salafi is going to save you. The name is debatable in and of itself among the scholars who follow the way of the Salaf. So we're going to respect that difference of opinion. But it's about living up to it. Yeah. Hot stuff, huh? Like, we come to this lecture and this guy is just wild.
Do I refer to any website? Would you recommend any website? Or in doubt?
Besides, again, I honestly and personally, I cherish and love and respect our brother Muhammad Tim Humble. Tim Humble, his name is, and he's humble, mashallah, he's fit for his name. So he has a lot of material out there. I highly recommend this brother. And there are very few that I've dared to say their name without biting my hands and fingers afterwards out of regret. Subhanallah. So inshallah, he's the exception to the rule. Now,
What about
Islam
Islam QA?
QA is my website. In spite of all the issues that the people created because of a fatwa here or a fatwa there, ya Shaykh, the perfection belongs to Allah. Ahda shway. This is a combination of the most beautiful, even the most accurate translations you will find. Usually the English material is very delicate to find decent translation. Islam QA, as far as I'm personally concerned, is the best website, period, in terms of fatwa. Not perfect. There are fatwa there which I personally, according to my humble knowledge, disagree with, or I go with an opinion of another scholar that they don't quote or cite. There, that's fine. But I'm talking overall. We can't say they are Qutbis and all this nonsense because of a stance which they have. They supported Ahmad Didat. Ooh! Ahmad Didat was in this, Ahmad Didat was in that. Ya Shaykh, relax. Ahmad Didat, rahimahullah, situation is between him and Allah. And whatever mistakes he might have done, this is a believer who has done a lot. So don't let the fact that he wasn't calling to Salafiyya again, make you just X him out from the whole thing. You don't know. His affair is with Allah. Say, may Allah accept the good and overlook the bad, as with the rest of us. Now. But of course, nowadays, if you want to learn about Islam, you don't listen, for example, to debates. You don't go listen to a debate between, Anis Shorosh and Ahmad Didat rahimahullah. You don't want to do that unless you're a person involved in giving da'wah to Christians. Because Ahmad Didat is not going to teach you Islam. He's going to mock very successfully the other guy, which is great. To me it was entertainment. I would listen for hours because he was wild. He would just shred these guys, man. Especially Swagat. It's like one of the best debates in the history of mankind. Subhanallah. Anyways, rahimahullah.
What about Dr. Zakir Naik?
Hi! Turn off the video camera and pause the recorder. That was mentioned here. I don't speak about anyone, akhi, who I don't have the right to speak about. So when I've warned against some people by name, And wallahi, it was done after thorough investigation and giving all the benefits of the doubt and going out of my way to avoid, until the situation became where if you don't mention something, the Muslims are at risk. Anyone who has good and bad, or has good and some accusations, and I haven't had the opportunity to investigate, I don't have the right to open my mouth, Islamically. To say, oh, Fulan, no, he's good, or he's bad. No. I've worked with Peace TV at some point, because some people will try to use it against me, and stuff like that, and they have all types of stuff. I've met Dr. Zakir many times, in person, in Jeddah. So I don't have any personal issue with the man. But for me to judge his da'wah, I'm not in a position to do so. I'm not in a position. Why? I haven't done my homework. It's my fault, but I haven't done my homework. Therefore, I keep my mouth shut. But is there good? Alhamdulillah, there's a lot of good. Are there issues? Some issues are highlighted. I haven't investigated them. People say, and it's not enough to hear people say. They said, he said, blah, blah, blah. And then when you go to the blah, 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 you often find quoting out of context, which may apply to him or may not. They might be correct, by the way, about what they say. So again, because I haven't done all this research, I can't tell you yes or no. Capish? Good? You're not happy, but I'm sorry.
I'm happy, sir.
Okay.
The Saudi government is happy with him. Today they are benefiting.
طيب أخي.
Today he is highlighted on the newspaper.
طيب, no issue. And did I say he's bad?
He has given many things.
But no doubt, ya akhi, the issue is not oversimplification. Everybody, Hamza Yusuf has done a lot of good. And the American government loves him as well. But that's none of our business. Don't involve the two with each other. The politics and the deen in this regard, there's no link in this regard. Anybody could be happy with any fulan for whatever reason. It doesn't give him anything in Islam. Again, I'm not speaking about Dr. Zakir specifically. I was not taking away from what he's done. Like I said, I know him personally. So I have no issue whatsoever. But for me to say, like I've said about Hamza Yusuf or Yasser Qadi or Rahman Ali Khan, just flat out in your face, I'm telling you right now. For me to say it with confidence, I cannot. Because I haven't done any investigation and I haven't seen anything but good. I've only heard comments, and these comments I haven't investigated, therefore I maintain the position of neutral. I'm neutral. Other people, I will tell you flat out, haram for you to listen to them. With, right there in your face. Some people will disagree, but I feel I've done enough study to prove that this stance is accurate. Because if you say, no, but akhi, it's your opinion, then you're saying that the Quran and the Sunnah don't clarify things for people. That people will always be confused until Yawm al-Qiyamah because there isn't a criterion upon which you can evaluate and judge. That's impossible. It's impossible. It's there. But it has to be put into practice and applied. Seriously? Guys, this is longer than the lecture itself. It's the last question, yalla, just for you. Because some people are going to sleep right now.
I was going to say, you said the hadith of Abu Hurairah and Shaitan, it was in a dream?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So because I always thought that it was face-to-face, reality.
No, it was in a dream. He was coming to him in a dream. Make sure that you read in the translation of Bukhari by Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah.
It states in the hadith
Nah.
that it was a dream.
Nah. Yeah, you're making me, let me see if I have it for you just to give you a peace of mind. أين أنت أيها الحديث؟ No, I have the summary of it, then I have the part that I didn't put the whole hadith here, so I cannot give you the exact word. But from my memory, if my memory serves me well, it's in the dream. So that was the last question. Congratulations, Akhi. And Jazakumullah khair for showing up. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.